and prize-giving ceremony. At 1 p.m., the commissioning of the new Masters Flats. At 1:45 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni All-Year Groups Lunch. At 7 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Dance Party with Ntim Fordjour Band. Then on Sunday at 9 a.m., Thanksgiving service at the Esther Hansen grounds. It's the 66th anniversary celebrations and alumni homecoming of Swesco. Semper Cum Optimus, always with the best.
Hello and welcome to Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Face to Face does a one-on-one interviews with the persons who matter, discussing the issues that matter to you. We're going to be focusing on education today because education has been a big deal the past 1 decade and it will continue to be a big deal. We'll speak to someone who has been at the helm of affairs in terms of our education setup and find out from him, now that he's watching from the fringes, what advice he would be giving to the new managers of our education. Plus, we'll talk about our security and the House of Parliament. My name is Umaru Sanda. My guest on Face to Face today is Member of Parliament, one of the few surviving NPP members of Parliament from the Central Region, Assin South. He served as Deputy Minister for Education. Currently, he has been made the ranking member on the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament and also on the Education Committee. Honourable Reverend Ntim Fordjour. John, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Umaru.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to be back on your show.
I'm happy to see you surviving your elections. Congratulations.
Yes, it was just by the grace of God and by the benevolence of my people, Assin South. It was not easy, but the Lord saw us through.
So you're an island in Assin now?
The only survivor, unfortunately.
The whole of Assin?
Unfortunately.
And I'm sure the whole of your enclave?
Yeah, so for Assin, we are three. Assin South, where I am, Assin Central, and Assin North.
Yeah, gone.
Unfortunately, the North was already in the hands of NDC.
Yeah. And
then the Central, we had held it for all this while. We thought we would retain. But rather, unfortunately, we lost that as well.
Let me ask you, do you think if Kennedy, and I know this is a very dangerous question to ask you, but asking you, that's my job. Do you think if Kennedy Japan had run, Assin Central would have remained blue?
Yes. I mean, he brings on board, he has a whole gravitas. He has his own way of winning, even though the last two elections were also not easy for him because the numbers were going down. But, you know, Kennedy is Kennedy. Mm-hmm. He's a colossus. He has a way of entrenching and making sure he brings the people along. So a change of candidates also was a factor because he's done massive for Assin Central. And so even if apathy sets in, there will still be some remnants that will.
But your place has always been MPP?
Not quite.
Are you is that Dominic Fobi's place? That's where you are?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Professor Fobi contested twice before he won.
Okay.
So for 92, NDC obviously went in 93, 97, another NDC MP took, and then 2000, 2001 was when Professor Fobi won. And we have maintained it since then. And it's the same for Assin Central. We didn't have it for the first two parliaments, but the third was when Honorable Kennedy Japan began, and then he held it on to the time that he did not contest.
So currently you have only 4 NPP MPs in the whole Central Region, or 3?
Very much so, only 4. So we have the minority leader, Honorable Assin Afeyomakin, And then
so
myself,
that's on the coast, winning
yes,
by
on the
Efutu.
coast, only Efutu. And then when you come to the hinterland, we Assin South and then Upper Dentra West, Diaso, Domnasi area, Yamfrey. And then we have also Himan Lower Dentra, with Jokwa. Well, Upper Dentra West and Himan Lower Dentra are both traditionally Dentra.
Okay, so they are neighbors.
Not quite. They are far apart, but traditionally they are all Dentras.
But these are all in the middle of the region.
Yes.
Towards Ashanti.
Towards bordering Ashanti. I am closer to Ashanti. Yes, Upper Dentra West is also closer to Ashanti, but the border Western region.
Western region. And so Afenyomakin is the only coastal seat you have.
Absolutely.
Everything was swept.
Everything was gone.
It looks like a reverse of what happened in 2016.
Yeah, so we had flipped it before, 2016, when we won 19 seats and left only 4 for NDC. At the time, it was only Honorable Atufosen and a few, 3,
Rickett Hagan,
Honorable Pukia Sawyer, and Atta Mills. They were the survivors. But now, they also flipped it. Central region is a swing region. And so it is expected that we are going to take 20 seats for MPP in 2028, hopefully, when we work very hard and we're able to reorganize our party.
Honorable Reverend, the defeat you suffered at the polls, do you think it's spiritual?
It's multifaceted, and so you can't look at it from just one dimension. People respond to the kind of leadership and services that you run for them. We also have an 8-year cycle, which has become a major feature of our political behavior. So it's as if every 8 years, something really, really unusual must happen to be able to defy that trend. Otherwise, every 8 years, a new party must come in, and then the incumbent must give way. So all these factors played out. COVID hit us so bad. Russia-Ukraine war also hit us so bad. Many people who were going to vote were minded about economy, their pockets, and so, of course, we had brilliant social interventions like the free SHS policy, opening access, many people getting in there and supported to get through. We had health insurance going on. We had NAPCO. We had a few things that were really brilliant, but they thought that they needed a change, and that's what they saw.
In Parliament, you are being referred to as a micro-minority. You are very, very small. I can use the word insignificance in terms of statistics. The last Parliament, the NDC was neck and neck with you. They were able to fight you boot for boot. Are you sure you can do anything significant as a minority group this time around?
Absolutely. You can tell right from the outset, the first 2 months of the 9th Parliament, we've had many organizations and institutions ranking the performance of minority and majority and how the public perceive us. And clearly, majority of them have had to rank our performance as more effective and higher than the majority with all their numbers. And so, without being disrespectful, but with the greatest of respect, the 88 mighty minority are at our effective best. It reminds me of the time when there were fewer numbers in opposition during the J.H. Mensah leadership period, at the time when he was minority leader, the 1997 group to 2000, and how effective they were. That was a time where President Akufo-Addo was a member of parliament. We had very strong advocates who stood in and held the government to account, held their feet to fire, and ensured that the good people of Ghana, even when they had lost votes in numbers, will get to understand their cogent, and very, very effective lines of argument to carry the rest of the country along. That's exactly what I see playing out here, with the solid leadership of the minority leader, Honorable Afenyomakin, the deputy minority leader, Miss Patricia PJ, the chief whip, Honorable Anodompre, Honorable Habib, the deputy whip, and Honorable Jerry Shaib. They are a fantastic set of leadership, and we are behind them solidly to ensure that the whole caucus is carried along. We all strategize together, and our strategies so far have been very, very effective. And so,
but policy is about numbers. You don't simply have the numbers to do anything at all.
Yeah,
you can't hold anything at bay.
I agree with you. Numbers are good, but when you're in opposition, no matter how many you are, you have your say. Your say is all that you have as a minority, no matter how much your strength is numerically. But we had a hung parliament in the 8th Parliament. And that was a peculiar one because we were almost at par. So they didn't only have their say, but they also had some numbers to bring to the table in instances where some of your members were out of jurisdiction or unable to attend sessions. Then you would find yourself wanting, and they had the upper hand. So that was a peculiar one. We see across many democracies, parliaments gradually hinging there, getting to hang parliament. But it also taught us a lesson in our democracy. It deepened our democracy, and it gave us a lot of opportunity to learn things from hang parliament. But now is a unique one. We have a minority, what is really minority in terms of numbers.
Are you being heard? Do you feel you're being heard?
Oh, yeah, we are. Our voices are heard. The speaker so far has been impartial. I wouldn't say neutral, because we're all politicians. We all know where we stand. But he's been impartial largely in his decisions. His deputy speakers have also done their best in impartiality. By and large, the lines of debates that we've seen so far, you would even see that we win all the debates that come to the floor, from SONA debate to this current debate, how it has started, the debates on the budgets and many other.
You feel that you are winning?
We are indeed. We've won all the arguments largely, and we also see the kind of issues that come up daily on the floor of Parliament, the lines of arguments that we put forth from the front bench, even the back bench, very sharp, effective members of Parliament. So I think that if we keep the way we are going, we're going to be a force to reckon with. But I must also indicate that the majority front bench, led by the Honorable Mahama Yarga, they have a fine leadership, and they're also doing their very, very, very best.
When elections happen and there's a change, we see a change in the executive and the legislature. The judiciary is largely untouched. Now, while Mahama is fixing or doing his forming the executive, your side, you're also forming the legislature. So you're doing committees, you're reconstituting them, all of it. How is that looking? How is that work coming to start the 9th Parliament properly?
Yeah, so the composition of committees have been done.
All committees have been
fully constituted as part of the mandates we need to discharge in our standing orders. So minority, majority, the committee on selection led by the speaker himself. So all that has been done. We formed our committees. We have our ranking members. We have our chairpersons, and all the members duly composed according to the formula that we set out. So we are poised for action. We are poised to deliver. We are poised to be a very effective minority, not a disruptive minority, not, to say nuisance minority, but a very responsible minority, a constructive minority, an option that is very credible, that Ghanaians will take so seriously and offer very critical opposition of this current government.
Are MPs supposed to lobby for that or campaign to say, I want to be on this committee, or leadership decides these things?
It's a mix of both. And I'll say, I mean, the world of politics is a world of lobby. And so you never stop lobbying until you are through with what you're doing. And so it's a mix of lobbying and also backgrounds where members of Parliament bring to the fore. Some have very strong finance, economics background. It makes a lot of sense that you fill those ones in the finance committee. There are others who have various shades of opinion, and some are legal luminaries. They have to be on the subsidiary legislation, constitutional, legal. And then you have other committees also that sometimes you might not assign someone with the direct primary, background, but as leaders as we are, you put them there, they go there and they excel. Okay. And so we've had it manifest on both sides. We've seen some of the people who were minority ranking members, for instance, on health, who Honorable Minta Kando, who eventually became health minister, for instance, not a medical doctor, but he was put on the health committee as ranking, and he discharged to his best of ability.
So which committees are you on?
I'm ranking for Defense and Interior, and I'm member on the Education Committee, and I'm also member on the Human Rights Committee. I'm
not surprised with Education because you were Deputy Minister for Education, but Defense and Interior, are you a retired soldier or something?
Before I went to education, I wasn't a teacher. I've taught for only 1 year in my life.
Okay.
I'm a mineral engineer. But the thing about leadership and politics is that you need to be versatile. You need to be ever ready to learn, to adapt, and to be able to lead wherever you are put and wherever your services are needed. And so if you do not make yourself that adaptive and useful and say that, well, I'm a lawyer and so I can only function on subsidiary legislation, you will not avail your services that much. You will not be that useful to your caucus, your constituents, and your nation. So I am always available to serve wherever.
So defense and interior, that's police, soldiers, and all of those things.
Matters relating to security.
National security issues.
Except national security and intelligence have a committee responsible for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you make of the changes in the top hierarchy of all the security services? The president has been making these announcements, started with the police, done immigration, fire. He's just done announcement for the armed forces as well. Is this a must?
I'll start from the police and the agencies under Ministry of Interior, because that's where the president started from. But at the outset, I must indicate that my viewpoint and whichever appropriate means I would soon be pursuing, even if I have to pursue a private member's bill, to ensure that we legislate security of tenure for security chiefs and heads of various security agencies, just as we've done for the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we've done for Chief Justice, the Chairman of Electoral Commission, and such other similar offices. I think that security matters are so important. Security matters must be, insulated from political interference as much as possible. Loyalty is key, but even more pressing is loyalty to the state, not loyalty to a political party. And therefore, in the tenure of IGP, the tenure of the Controller General of Immigration, the tenure Director General of Prison Service, in the tenure of the Chief Fire Officer, Chief of Defense Staff, and the security chiefs of the Ghana Armed Forces and other related agencies, it is important that we give them fixed term and security of tenure and legislate it such that midway through their term, if turnover occurs, election is held, a new president, a new party takes over, they ought to be compelled to work with them. With that setup is going to, establish strong security sector governance integrity, is also going to, push for heightened professionalism among the security elites and for young persons who are within the security force aspiring to higher ranks to have it at the back of their minds. I have my thumb, I know where I vote, but regardless my party color, I have to be in uniform and put my nation first, and whoever is president, I must be loyal to them and serve my nation.
Security is sensitive, so if the other guy appointed you and I'm in charge now, I cannot trust you. And if I'm going to be commander-in-chief of the armed forces, I should put someone who I can give a command to and know that it will be executed. If I need the police to work in a certain way, I need to have a police chief who I trust. Is that not reasonable?
Proper democratic credentials well possess that. You do not have to disrupt leadership. You can still maintain leadership. At the minimal, make some incremental changes and still have the kind of loyalty that you need. But it is also important that incumbent heads of security do not act in disloyalty to the president who has taken over. They don't have to be disruptive to their vision. They need to align the operations to the vision of the president. When there's that mutual trust, there is no problem. And that is where, when there is that system, security of tenure, already legislated, that challenge will largely be subdued. Here again, like Electoral Commission, whoever appointed you, when a new president takes over, yours is to be impartial and yours is to discharge your mandate as dispassionately as possible, most conscientiously. So for Chief Justice and Office of the Special Prosecutor. And so we should get to that point. But the status quo as it is, the president exercises his constitutional prerogative to revoke appointment of incumbent and to appoint new ones as he may deem necessary. And in the discharge of that prerogative, it is also important that president exercise so, having in mind minimal disruptions as much as possible to the hierarchy. Because, for instance, these security services are hierarchical in their command, services. They are elite services, they move according to hierarchy, and so in order to maintain, morale within the services, and in order to ensure that meritocracy is not sacrificed on the altar of political loyalty, you need to also be mindful with all these factors, starting from the police, the handling of the IGP. I think matters could have been handled better.
The Dampare removal.
Dr. Ekufu Dampare, however people may have whatever assessment they may have of him, objectively looking, in the Fourth Republic, he will come across as one of the highest performing IGPs we've had. What are the main KPIs? We look at the statistics on crime rates. We look at police visibility. We look at perception of the public of the police system. We look at sanctity and discipline within the ranks, particularly
and
at the
scores high on all of these.
He scores very high. See how he sanitized the headquarters of the. All of a sudden, there was order, and you would, if you have not been there for a while, you would not believe that you are at the head office of the Ghana Police Service. That the very day he was removed, see the chaos that erupted, which is most regrettable. And so for me, that jubilation was needless. That jubilation is not in the best interest of continuity, because when people have served, Artisan Group, which is a global organization, Global Peace Index, many organizations had ranked Ghana's peace and security, had ranked our crime rates so favorable, such that they ranked Ghana 2024-2025 as the second most peaceful country in Africa. And in terms of crime rates globally, they ranked Ghana more favorably ahead of Australia and Canada. And so if you have an IGP at the helm of affairs, together with his team, who have been able to, among other things, bring us to this point, there will definitely be some shortfalls here and there, but largely, he deserves some credit. So if a new president has come, I would have wished he continues with him. Be that as it may, if he says that, I want you to go for another to be appointed, and your deputy, not too far, just your immediate deputy to step in, that is fair and good. But jubilations and aspersions should not be, created to sort of show ingratitude to the one going.
But I find it surprising that you, from the party you belong to, has a difficulty with this replacement, because the man who has been put there was appointed by Akufo-Addo just last year.
Yes, and that's the point that I'm making, that the president has exercised his prerogative. If I were the president, I would have continued, because that's my principle, that there must be continuity. Government is a continuum, and that you meet security chiefs midterm, they must be continued. However, we also have precedents where many presidents have terminated or revoked appointments of IGPs they came to meet, so I don't have a problem with that. So his deputy is appointed. I have he has my full support. I have congratulated him. IGP Christian Teteyohunu, he has my full support. He has the support of my side on the Committee of Defense and Interior to support him to discharge his duties, and I wish him Godspeed. And I want to support him so that he will be able to succeed in ensuring that he maintains security, he improves on our police administration.
So if you had your way, IGP, and that's you are thinking you may bring a bill, IGP should not be replaced when there's a change, CDS should not be replaced, head of immigration, head of all of these people should remain.
Yes.
I'll come back and ask you about the soldiers part, because it sounds a bit interesting. This face-to-face on Channel 1 television. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest, Reverend John Ntim Fordjour. We've not even entered his field yet, but he's delivering on this field that he has just been put in the Defense and Interior Committee as the ranking member. We'll talk about education, and he's also a member of the Human Rights Committee. I'll ask him if that's a proper human sexual bill that he was part of, and what's going to happen with that particular, the Anti-LGBTQ bill. Please stay with us.
One upgrade is nice, but a double upgrade is amazing. And that's how we do it. Upgrade today to get even more with Step Up. If you're on GoTV Max and upgrade to GoTV Super, you'll get way more with GoTV Super Plus.
It's so cool!
Get big value. Get big entertainment.
Very good.
Perfect! Upgrade and get even more with GoTV.
I'm in.
GoTV. Love it.
After a long flight, Safari Homes gives you the peace to unwind. A short drive from the airport, convenient for all. For nature lovers, Safari Valley Resort is a hidden gem, surrounded by lush greenery and luxury amenities. A place where you can truly escape. Now, for water adventure, Aqua Safari Resort has it all. Jet skis, canoe rides, kayaking, and a visit to the estuary. And for more excitement, Safari Eco Park is the perfect place to get closer to some amazing animals.
Visit Safari World in Ghana, together bringing you closer to nature.
You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 TV. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest is the Honorable Reverend Ntim Fordjour, Member of Parliament, Assin South. So you've made the point for the IGP. You think that it is disruptive and all of that. You do not necessarily have an issue with the person who has been put there.
Yes, and I wish the new IGP, IGP Christian Tetoyohunu, the very best.
Yeah.
I have every confidence that he will succeed, and within the period he has to deliver his best and leave legacies, and we'll pledge all our support for him.
However, the soldiers' bit, that I need a lot of convincing, because you see, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, that's in the Constitution. Now, when we are going to war, you need your trusted generals to lead you in war. And we have not gone to war before Ghana. Like, I'm not sure since we went to independence. But how do you really believe that a new president comes and he should be relying on the old generals of the old guy to go to war? That doesn't sound security-wise to me.
Yeah, my point is consistent with best practice. Yes, as the status quo is, the presidents have their prerogative to make some changes. However, it is advisable that those changes do not become political. The changes you would make should be at the minimal, just making some key changes, but not sweeping across the entire top rank within the command.
That's what happens all the time.
That's not what has happened. Best practice and precedents.
His bodyguard as
that's not the case. And I will give you the precedents. The precedents that have happened is that in the Fourth Republic, and as is done in very, very respectable democracies like ours overseas, when presidents take over, the best they do is to change the chief of defense staff, and sometimes change the chief of staff. If they may have one or two changes, they may just change one of the army one of the security chiefs, either an army commander or chief of naval officers.
So it shouldn't be all the three.
And that is how it has been. President Kufuor took over, had minimal changes at the top. President Mills took over, did minimal changes at the top. President Akufo-Addo took over. Let me tell you what President Akufo-Addo did. When President Akufo-Addo took over in 2017, January 7th, the Chief of Defense Staff then was Mr. Samson Oji, who was a Vice Marshal. And he, as a three-star general, Lieutenant General, he needed to be changed according to the prerogative of the president. When President Akufo-Addo was changing him, and changing also, the second person he changed was the Chief of Staff at the time, Major General Adeti. Those were the only two changes he made. And on record, when he changed them, he did not sweep across the entire brass of top commands. He did not sack or dismiss all two-star generals, major generals and equivalent, lieutenant generals and equivalent. He ensured that the most senior among the commands that he had come to meet was one that he appointed to replace the outgoing Chief of Defense Staff. So Major General Aqua at the time, he was the Chief of Army Staff, as we say, Army Commander. And he was appointed by President Mahama. He was President Mahama's Army Commander, Major General Aqua. But that was the general that President Akufo-Addo promoted to become the Chief of Defense Staff. He didn't sack everybody appointed by President Mahama, every general, every commandant. He didn't sack everyone to recreate new ranks and new generals for himself. And then when he promoted Major General Aqua at the time as the Army Commander, the replacement he found for the Army Commander was one of the most senior among the generals, General Ayamdo at the time, if you remember. So General Ayamdo was the one who became the Army Commander. He didn't touch the Chief of Navy. He didn't touch the Chief of Air Force, for instance. They all were maintained and served to their full term. They have 3 years term that they serve when they are put into those positions. President Mahama appointed them into those positions. President Akufo-Addo maintained them, worked with them, and ensured that they served to their full term before he brought replacement. Did we have any coup in this country for the 8 years? Okay. Because President Akufo-Addo came and worked with President Mahama's appointed generals? No. It rather gave a huge boost in morale. It also signaled greatly to the rank and file that professionalism and meritocracy must be, very strong tenets we all must fight for.
Yeah, politician.
And so, in this case, far away from the precedent set, what do we see? Now, in the past medium term, for a very long time now, our military capacity and might had been to the stature where the Chief of Defense Staff has been a 3-star general. So it's Lieutenant General. That's been the highest rank in the Ghana Armed Forces. But we embarked on the recent expansion drive of the Ghana Armed Forces, and there were massive investments put into expanding the Ghana Armed Forces, retooling, and ensuring that the expansion reflects in upgrades in key corps, key commands, key units like the artillery, armor, 48 engineers, and signals. They all were upgraded to become brigade status, and by that we attained a 4-star general status as a top hierarchy of our military command. And so now our chief of staff, until his revocation of appointment, was a 4-star general. What that means is that he's a full general. And so when he became full general, the army command, the security chiefs, the one in charge of Army, Navy, and Air Force all became 3-star, and then the commandants on other units also, the chief of staff also became 3-star, Lieutenant General, and then the other commandant of the other units and corps became 2-star generals, major generals. Then you have brigadier generals, 1-star generals, also manning various sensitive and key, units. And we have about 15, if I'm correct, about 15 generals to the rank of Major General, 2-star, Lieutenant Generals, 3-star, and 1 General, 4-star. Some are in Ghana, others are also serving in very key, units. Some are military attachés, some are heading commands. One Major General, who is a female, was recently appointed by United Nations and commanding troops in Israel, commanding troops from various countries. And so that is the stature of the military and the capacity and might, the status we had invested heavily into building, and the kind of morale we had put into the army. And so if you come in and then you sack all generals, all senior generals, from the rank of Major General upwards all the way to Lieutenant General, and then dismiss them and appoint a Brigadier General as the Chief of Defense Staff, may I remind you that they run a command system. Therefore, a 3-star, 4-star general cannot salute a 1-star general. And so the moment you appoint a 1-star general as the Chief of Defense Staff, you have rendered all seniors, you have dismissed them. Retirement is even more diplomatic. You have dismissed them. And many of these senior ranked, military officers, by their rank and age, have about 4 years to 6 years more to serve before their retirement.
Just a few.
So what that calls for, one implication is that you have to pay gratuities, and so huge sums of money running into millions will have to be coughed up and be paid these generals because of someone's egoistic decision to change them.
But when you talk
the
about
second implication, which is even more dire, is that meritocracy is now sacrificed on the altar of political loyalty. It is President Mahama saying that out of the 15, generals, Major General and Lieutenant Generals and a general within the Ghana Armed Forces, he cannot trust any of them. He cannot work with any of them. There is one that can elicit his loyalty, that he must sack all of them. Completely disruptive, and appointing a Brigadier General, it has a lot of implications. These have mentored many people within their ranks. They look up to them. They admire them. These are people that they are coaching. So morale will be affected. they also say that, oh, okay, so it's as if hard work doesn't matter anymore. It's as if loyalty to the state doesn't matter anymore. Competence does not matter. Rank doesn't matter. And therefore, then we should be hurriedly looking for political affiliations, because that is what President Mahama has introduced into the military system, and it's very dangerous for our democracy.
It's interesting you talk about ego. Is this not something that was actually brought on us by your former boss?
No, he didn't sack 15 military generals.
But he promoted soldiers at the last State of the Nation address. Many think that was an artificial promotion. If you terminate artificial,
which soldiers were promoted?
He made the announcement at the last State of the Nation address to promote these generals that you are complaining about now.
No.
And that if he had not done that last minute promotion,
it is not about
they would have remained where they were, and you wouldn't be complaining the way you're complaining.
It was not even about that. Granted, the promotions were occasioned by the expansion in the army.
Many saw that as a very artificial, self-serving promotions
these are
that were intended to trap John Mahama.
He has come to
let me correct
that trap by going false. That's completely false. And let me correct that. One, it is not just Ghana Armed Forces that determines which ranks must be upgraded, or the expansion that must take place, how that meets international standards for them to be upgraded to four-star status.
I'm talking about
however, be that as it may, even if the status quo of the previous years had remained, and that we didn't even have a four-star general, all would have been lieutenant generals and then major generals, and there are 15 of them.
Yes.
So you forget about even the four-star. Yes. And in the context of 2-star generals and 3-star generals, even without factoring in the promotions that took place in 2024, we are talking about 15, not less than 15
you should have
major
found someone
generals
among them.
and lieutenant generals. So none of them is considered worthy by President Mahama. None of them is someone he can trust. None of them is politically loyal to him.
You know why he cannot trust them? Because one of them, at least, was the aide-de-camp of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and we saw him progress and get promoted. And
very well, my very good friend.
And you genuinely, if you were the president, you would actually let Akufo-Addo's former bodyguard become your chief of army staff or CDS.
So if you're not even comfortable with him,
yes.
How about the other 14?
I'm just saying, but he's one of many. What if the others have similar? What if the others have similar colors?
Granted. So put him aside. Did he have 15 ADCs? No. But let me give you a precedent.
No, but if one groundnut in the lot is not good, there's a possibility that all the others are not good.
Let me give you a precedent that has happened in this country. My good friend and your good friend, Dr. Kufuor Dampare,
yes.
Was he not ADC to President Mills?
Mills, yes.
Yes. But by way of competence and by way of leadership, was he not a worthy, and wouldn't he go down in history as one of the best IGPs we've had? Yeah. And who appointed him?
Nana Akufo-Addo.
So, granted that Nana Akufo-Addo has been able to appoint an ADC of a president in an opposition party, why would somebody, and there was no coup, there was no disruptions, why would somebody have discomfort to appoint a former ADC of a president from a different party? Again, as I gave you the premise, President Akufo-Addo, when he took over, his chief of defense staff that he appointed was the army commander that President Mahama appointed. And did he have to sack him?
Okay.
Did he have to say that, no, I don't trust you because President Mahama appointed you general, President Mahama appointed you army commander, and so I have no business working with you as the chief of defense staff? No. But Major General Akwa was promoted to lieutenant general and appointed chief of defense staff by President Akufo-Addo. And all the other service commands, they were the other service chiefs, they were there and maintained. President Mahama appointed them, just like President Akufo-Addo made his appointments. But he came and worked with them until all of them served to their full term. Did we have a coup d'etat? Did we have instability in this country? What President Mahama has done is very similar to military juntas and military coup d'etats. It's as if it wasn't
new king, new law.
It's as if President Mahama didn't win with 6.3 million votes. It's as if he won by coup d'etat.
It's a reset. He's resetting
so,
everywhere.
And this reset is like a reset.
But Ghanaians have given the mandate to reset, and that's what he's doing.
The Ghanaians gave you votes. They gave you terms. They didn't give you guns.
That's a mandate.
They didn't do coup d'etat.
Yeah, but they gave you a mandate to own the guns.
Yes, but in your quest to set your governance right, you don't have to take disruptive decisions that will undermine and weaken the independence of the Ghana Armed Forces.
You want to prevent
this. But it has happened, be that as it may.
Yes, so you want to come through private members' bill.
Yeah, but we are going to hold the minister before the two ministers, Minister for Defense and Interior, and Minister for Defense and Minister for Interior.
To ask why the president exercises his prerogative.
Particularly Minister for Defense. He must appear before us and apprise the House how this very disruptive,
how the commander-in-chief decided to change his guard,
very risky, transition. How are they managing it? They must assure the good people of this country how they are going to manage the fallout. It is very dangerous, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. See, matters of security are so sensitive that, and they are technical. So the people out there, not everyone may have full appreciation of the dangerous nature of the decision taken by President Mahama. It is important for our own stability and for the stability of this country that the Minister for Defense is hauled before Parliament to apprise us how this transition, even if, for matters of sensitivity, not Parliament, at least before the Committee on Defense and Interior, he must come and apprise us. He must come and answer questions and satisfy us that this rather very dangerous transition is being managed in a way that will soften things and in a way that will revive morale that have been disrupted,
so that is
in a way that the meritocracy that has been sacrificed on the altar of political affiliation and the political colors that have been introduced into the top hierarchy of the Ghana Armed Forces.
That is
how they intend to cure it going forward.
Reverend,
that we will haul in before
Reverend,
the committee to
you are
answer.
saying that in the future there should be policy guiding these things, and that's what you are going to work on with the bill.
Because President Mahama has clearly demonstrated that if we leave these at the discretion of presidents, not all presidents will exercise this discretion in the best interest of the country.
Coming from you, that's very rich. I mean, coming from you, an MPP member who was with Nana Addo Dankwa the government.
Who appointed a chief of defense staff who was previously working for President Mahama as the army commander. So that is the difference. He didn't sack them.
This is Face to Face on Channel 1 TV. My guest is Reverend Ntim Fordjour. He's not happy with the changes made by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Of course, he can't do anything about it, but he said that they will invite the minister to come and answer questions and give some assurances. He's also planning to bring a private members bill on that particular issue. And talking about private members bill, you were part of 8 MPs who brought a private members bill saying that we should protect our society against what you called alien cultures, the promotion of proper sexual human rights. That bill went through to the end in Parliament, but it never got to Jubilee House for it to be signed. You are planning to bring it back now. Have you already brought it back? Yes,
but just before I continue responding to that, I want to just draw curtains on the security matters to say that I congratulate all the newly appointed security chiefs, especially the Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General William Japan. I congratulate you on your appointment, and all the security chiefs. I congratulate you, all the new IGP, the new Director General of Prisons, the new Chief Finance Officer, the new Controller General of Immigration. We congratulate you on assumption of your duty. We pledge our full cooperation and support. Constructively, we will criticize where it will be helpful for our security, but you can rest assured that we will support you to succeed, to leave legacy, to ensure that our borders are maintained and secured, and our citizens and people who have visited us living in this country feel safe. Our streets, homes, and workplaces are safe. And also to say, are you cool to all the outgone chiefs, all the outgone IGP, the outgone Chief of Defense Staff, the outgone heads of various security agencies? Your tenure has been most remarkable, and we appreciate your sacrifices, your great leadership, and the contribution that you made towards consolidating our security. So we say, are you cool to you? Since you've decided to answer a different question that no one asked, I have to take a break. When I come back, I'll let you answer this particular. Well. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. We'll come back, we'll talk about the Anti-LGBTQ bill, plus the education forum by this government and the free SHS.
Life is a celebration of moments. Big and small.
The sun is scorching, I'm feeling the heat.
With Piva Drink, every moment becomes a refreshing celebration. From the beach to your home, in every corner of your world. Piva Drink at a burst of refreshment.
Give me Piva cocktail and tangerine.
Celebrate every moment with Piva Drink. Refreshment for every occasion. Piva Drink, a taste you will love.
P for Piva.
This advert is FDA approved.
It's time for the Swesco 66th anniversary celebrations and alumni homecoming. The dates, Friday 21st of March 2025 through till Sunday the 23rd of March 2025. Now on Friday at 10 a.m. at the school complex, How I Got There. At 1:30 p.m. at the forecourt of the school complex, Alumni Interhouses Gary Soakings Experience. At 6 p.m. on campus, Candlelight Procession. At 8 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Roll Call and Welcomes Jam with the Kwampa Band. On Saturday at 8 a.m. at the Esther Hansen Grounds, Speech and Prize Giving Ceremony. At 1 p.m. the commissioning of the new Masters Flats. At 1:45 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni All-Year Groups Lunch. At 7 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Dance Party with Inchin Chin Band. Then on Sunday at 9 a.m., Thanksgiving service at the Esther Hansen Grounds. It's the 66th anniversary celebrations and alumni homecoming of Swesco. Semper Cum Optimus. Always with the best.
You're welcome back. This face-to-face on Channel 1 TV. Reverend, the anti-LGBTQ bill, you said they are bringing it back in different form. It's almost as if when you had the power to do the thing, you didn't do it. Now you don't have power, so you want to Jojo Mahama. Is that not what you're doing?
Oh, no. Far from that. I mean, consistent with my principle, I have followed this bill and been very vocal and active in it from 2017, the first time I entered this parliament. I'm the first MP who raised a statement of law of parliament, held a press conference regarding LGBT matters. Subsequently, joined by my colleagues, Honorable Sam George, Honorable Bedra, Honorable Helen Tonso, Honorable De La Soa, Honorable now Odole Soa, we formed a bipartisan team to co-sponsor the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. At the time I was in power. At the time I was Deputy Minister for Education. So I didn't pursue that to win any power because the limited power I had it. So it wasn't motivated by winning power. It was motivated by meeting the aspiration of the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians who find the practices of LGBT highly repugnant to our tradition, our norms and beliefs. You remember in 2021 when CDD conducted the Afro-Barometer survey in this country on matters of LGBT and related practices. 93% of our young, our old, our females, our males, our chiefs, our imams, our clergy, all of them decided that unanimously that these practices are highly repugnant to our values. And they were solidly in support of the private members bill that we submitted and pursued. Only 7% of the population really did not bother. They didn't really care. They were indifferent about it. But it's so important, and it matters to 93% of the population, including 93% of the 6.3 million votes.
And that's why President Mahama said that he will use his Attorney General to bring a bill properly so called. We want a government to own it.
Is that what President Mahama said when he was in opposition?
He's a president now. That's what he's planning.
But he's the same person. He hasn't changed, has he? Just 6 months ago, when the bill was passed, facing all the legal setbacks, this bill has survived many legal setbacks, right from the introduction, consultation, first reading, all the way to its passage. Even there were legal setbacks challenging its transmittance to the president. But in all of that, as we were getting through, President, having read the bill in the shape and form that it is at the time, President Mahama, candidate Mahama, pledged to this whole country in front of clergy and many other sections of this, that he's a member of Assemblies of God. He's a Christian. And if this bill were passed and if he were president, with alacrity, he would have assented to it without contentions, without any hesitation.
But that bill is dead now.
Yes, so those who argue that by the expiration of the 8th Parliament, the bill has expired with the 8th Parliament, I agree. And so we have reintroduced the same bill in the 9th Parliament.
But why don't you let government rather handle it? That would be more powerful. That would be more quicker.
But has government introduced any bill that I and Ntim Fordjour am fighting? So let them bring it. Until they bring it, this is all we have. And so if you say that, when I was in opposition, I found private members' bill so effective at curing this issue, but suddenly I am president. And now I think that he met the clergy. Now I think that we should raise our children well and we should inculcate value-based curriculum. It should cure it. That is U10. And the fidelity of your social contract, you have betrayed it and breached it. When you were in opposition, you didn't say, no, this one is not the right way to go. Abandon the private members' bill. Let President Akufo-Addo himself, I will put pressure on him as opposition to sponsor government-sponsored such bill. That wasn't his line of argument. Yeah. So he is president now. The same private members' bill. We didn't change anything. The only thing we changed about it was the 2024. We changed it to 2025. Same thing. Human sexual rights and family values.
If he liked it, then he should like it now.
Passed, not even a comma was changed. So if you endorse it, then you have to be consistent with your principles. Okay. And so we are expecting that within about 6 months to 8 months, it should be passed. Speaker Bagman was extremely supportive in the 8th Parliament when we passed it, and we're expecting that he would, afford us same support. I'm very confident about that. He will afford us same support. Honorable Sam George is still signatory to this bill. He signed, Honorable Bedra also signed, Honorable De La Soa, Honorable Helen Tonso.
I referring to the new one? Or
yes, the new one.
The new one you have sent?
That we reintroduced, yes.
They've signed it for you again?
Yes, I have tons of respect for them. Hey, they didn't run away. 2 ran away. But they didn't run away.
Who are the 2 ran away?
We'll talk about that another time.
We remember those on your side who ran away when you were...
We will talk about... No, I am saying that 2 ran away. But Honorable Sam George...
From your side, who has joined you?
Honorable Sam... So on our side, we have Honorable Anthony Mier, Member of Parliament for the Tobri. Okay. We have Honorable Nuruddin Mumuni, who is a Member of Parliament for Nalirigu Gambaga. We have Honorable Abdul Kabiru Mahamatia, the Member of Parliament for Wale Wale, and then Honorable Ekwasifwa Vincent, Member of Parliament for Otafo.
So they have joined
We have Honorable Hassan Tampuli, Member of Parliament for Kushegu. So it's a 10-member committee now.
And you have NDC MPs among
Yes, we have 4 NDCs. And then 6.
Let's talk about education now. The government.
So we are expecting that we'll pass it quickly, and then when we present it to President Mahama, he will be more than willing. He should be more than willing to assent to it quickly.
The government is trying to fix education. They've been doing a lot of education for across the country. Have you been attending?
I've never been invited.
But if they had invited you, would you go?
But it's over.
A public.
It's over.
But it's public. Everybody's supposed to go.
You are soon going to be a lawyer. Will lawyers who even intend to run pro bono services carry their constitution and work around looking for cases?
No, but they are in court. If they see someone who needs...
Yeah, so we are here. We're in Parliament.
But you have an interest.
Are we not in Parliament?
As someone who served as Deputy Minister of Education...
If they need my services...
When you heard in the news that there's an education for...
If they need my services, they will engage me and I will offer constructive suggestions to them.
So you are not invited to the forum?
I haven't been invited to any forum.
I'm sure there was no public invitation to everybody.
There was no invitation given to my former boss. There was no invitation given to MPP as a party. There was no such invitation. If anybody has it, he should publish it.
But the way you love education, free SHS...
But even the Cali Bishop Conference were afterthought invitation. So I'm not offended I wasn't invited. But see, this issue about National Education Forum, I have said it time and time again, is just an avenue for President Mahama to mutilate free SHS.
How?
The free SHS is just the target. And so if you are president...
It's to strengthen free SHS.
No, you are president.
The free SHS that you brought, that you ran aground, it's time to lift it up.
You are president. I didn't hear that. You are president. You have campaigned on a set of promises. Mm-hmm. They have voted for you. You come in, you set your vision in motion. But the first thing you do is to find an avenue to renege. So you form a committee, go and whatever is.
You want to hear from the people. Let the people be involved. And PTAs are coming back, for instance. Hooray!
And so they are going to pay, and that's fine. Let's just jubilate. But see, is it not an irony that on the day of Sona, when the president was busily saying, "I, John Dramani Mahama, I will continue free SHS. I won't cancel it." That same day, on the front page of Daily Graphic, not any propaganda newspaper, Daily Graphic, the front page of it, President Mahama's own committee that he has put together as stakeholders had brought on the front page that parents be ready to pay for your boarding, the boarding fees of your wards. That was from him.
That's a decision of the people.
So now, be that as
he's a listening president.
Be that as it's may, Ntim Fordjour has advised him.
Yeah,
he should take that advice.
Ntim Fordjour has spoken just like many other people have spoken.
Has advised
the
president.
Let the rich pay, which is something you people refuse to listen to.
He should listen to Ntim Fordjour. You see, Ntim Fordjour, he is the king of Ashanti. He is a venerable chief, full of wisdom. Now we say we have a local adage that says that Obanyansafo yebunube yenkanasem, and Ntim Fordjour is a venerable chief, so a king. He has said it, so he has said it. I feel like he's proceeded in tree. He has said it in Proverbs. 8 years, a party came, started free SHS, with modest resources of the state, were able to ensure that we put 1.5 million student enrollment from 830,000 to 1.5 enrollment we have today.
And let our children very hungry, running double track, that doesn't make sense.
Million students have benefited. Every challenge, every policy that has even been most successful had its own challenges.
I have a question for you.
So
direct question.
But I'll answer your question, but let me land on this.
Direct question.
Ntim Fordjour is saying, if you can't manage it, enough of the complaints, enough of the lamentations, nobody forces you to continue. If you can't, just come and announce to the country that parents, be ready and go and pay. Free SHS, we have cancelled it. Then parents will know that from now onwards, they have to find their own money to pay for their wards.
Honorable,
enough of the lamentations. So they should listen to Ntim Fordjour.
What the Ntim Fordjour has said,
fantastic advice.
What the Ntim Fordjour has said is not a new advice. It's always been there. Your government has always disregarded that. They said, let the rich pay. Do you agree now with Ntim Fordjour, something you disagree with?
Proverbially to them, and it's a heavy proverb he has given to them. If they will be wise enough to analyze the proverb given by Ntim Fordjour, they will take very wise decisions.
So finally, you are telling them to do something you refuse to do when you are in charge.
Ntim Fordjour is advising them that if you cannot sustain free SHS, it is not by force. Just do what you can do. If you can't, it's like
Ntim Fordjour is saying that don't behave like that, Yanum. Listen to advice.
Yeah, so he should listen and cancel free SHS so that parents will know that from henceforth we have to pay for our what. It's as simple as that. Haven't we paid our fees before? I was from Assin, a village. I've been a cocoa farmer. I've planted cocoa. I've harvested cocoa. I've dried cocoa, carried cocoa to the cocoa shed. And when I went to Assin Secondary School, as poor as I was, my parents struggling to pay my fees. When they looked for cocoa scholarship, guess what? The rich people in Accra and Kumasi who had never seen cocoa tree before were the ones who benefited. Let us get back to that. It is fine. I mean, if we want to get back to that era where the so-called rich will pay for their children to go because they can afford, and those who cannot pay, they will say, go and line up. Let President Mahama try and find some bursary for you. You come back and see the NDC card-bearing people who are rich, who will get that bursary, and the poor people genuinely who need it will be sidelined. And we'll come back to that point.
So you think that practically this proposal will be difficult?
I see how President Mahama will carry along free SHS, but we wish them well.
You think it's practically going to be difficult?
I have said my view. Look, if you want a mean testing, and this is not in any way direct rebuttal to Ntim Fordjour. Ntim Fordjour has given a superior counsel, and they must be minded to it. But I have said that if you want to conduct mean testing to determine who is rich and who is poor in this country, what criteria is NDC
use LEAP.
So LEAP is about less than 10% of the population. So the 90% everybody must pay. If that is a criteria, they should be bold and say that we will pay for all LEAP people.
No. When you come with your chop box and trunk, we'll queue. Check, bring your pay slip. If your pay slip is up to a certain level, you can. If you don't have pay slip. So my uncle who is an organizer, who doesn't have a pay slip, my uncle who is a mechanic, who doesn't have a pay slip, who's a farmer, who doesn't have a pay slip. We'll check your Momo wallet. We'll check your Momo wallet. We'll check your bank account because we have one Ghana
Most of them don't have these accounts.
And they will go to your home and look under your pillows.
Very well. I think
these are the practicalities you are telling me.
Very interesting. Very, and I like the conversation. So that is how NDC is going to measure
and divide
who is poor, who is rich.
Nana, Please, Reverend Ntim Fordjour is talking. He's saying something.
They were kind of mood, near Dawasen. So this a foot to Namao. Muntina Supem, na omo and two anamoa, a demo, penny force, Yedijawa, Yediaswa, and that is the council.
And it is heavy too. Mama, it's heavy, Yediaswa. That's how we end today's edition of Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. I did this interview with Reverend Ntim Fordjour, MP for Assin South, I beg your pardon, former Deputy Minister for Education. We'll be back next week with another exciting edition. Please stay with us.